the new KPI is more around discovery than traffic, because traffic doesn't always optimize to conversion.
Growth is not just about generating demands, it's about removing friction from the moment of intent.
They've always been the ambassador of their own brand, and they're going to see the LLMs and other environments start to be their ambassador.
Welcome everyone to Tyroo CJ Growth Lab Global Publisher Talks Episode 3. This is a global conversation series where we sit down with leading media and publisher partners to discuss what's shaping cross-border growth. So far, we've talked about community trust and high attention environments. Today, we're focusing on another critical piece, conversion. More specifically, how we move from inspiration to transaction. Because one of the biggest challenges today is not demand, it's friction. Consumers discover products everywhere, in content, in social, in comparison environments, but the moment they have to leave the experience and start over on a different site, we risk losing them. So today's theme is buy now, anywhere, embedding commerce where consumers discover. With that, I'm very pleased to introduce our guest today, Eve Friedman, VP of Strategic Partnerships at Firmly.ai. Welcome, Eve. Great to have you here. Firmly.ai enables shopping directly at the point of inspiration. Could you share with our audience how your solution works?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Malena. I appreciate it. I think you nailed it around, there's shoppers are now being introduced to products anywhere on any site now, whether it's an LLM or a publisher. And so discovery has really changed, and there is still a lot of friction in it. And where we kind of flip the model is traditionally with affiliate discovery, there's click out, there's redirects. That's when things get sort of lost in the friction. And Firmly really flips that model. You can think of us as we bring the cart or the aisle to shoppers anywhere they are across any single digital canvas. So we enable checkout directly inside the publisher experience, no redirects. The consumers discover and completes the purchase in that same moment, whether, again, at any digital environment, we can be there with their checkout and ready to make that inspiration turn into a transaction.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. Also, we talk about friction in the purchase journey, right? I wanted to understand from you, where do you typically see the biggest drop-off in a traditional flow where consumers are redirected to a brand's website to complete the purchase?
Yeah, I think there are three major points of friction that the industry is trying to solve for a very long time. There's just the traditional redirect drop-off. The moment a user clicks out of a publisher or a brand site, you lose intent, right? That alone we see anywhere upward of 30 to 60% of drop off. And then there's the rediscovery of friction, right? The user lands on a homepage or a PDP and has to refine that product that they just saw. And I do believe that creates a bit of a cognitive friction, and an abandonment right there, right? Maybe they get distracted. Maybe the site isn't as streamlined, or a million things can happen in that moment. And then the checkout friction as well. It's a very multi-step for brands that have a very multi-step checkout flow, where there's logins and payment entry, especially on mobile. We see about a 3 to 6% drop off mid-flow there, and even higher in some categories. So you're breaking the moment, I believe, with every intent that doesn't have the cart in front of you, and that's where we really come in to kind of close that loop.
Yeah. Does it then works better for placement that showcase a certain product, and then the consumer actually want to buy that product instead of a brand? So or it works for both. If the publisher, for example, showcasing a brand, and then how does the consumer go there within the embedded checkout environments to discover new products under that brand?
Yeah, I think the industry is really figuring this out and leaning into how to extend a checkout that also acts as not just what that full experience is and shorten it, but also how do you bring in other aspects to increase basket size? So you're increasing your not only your conversions, but your AOV. And I think we've done a really good job at not only helping the industry evangelize, adding recommendations and upsells and cross sells, but when we do add the cart inside these publisher experiences or the LLMs, we are seeing about a 2 to 4x lift in conversion rate versus a redirect. So in other words, we're seeing about a 20 to 40% ROAS improvement across some of these channels. We've had great success on USA Today. I can share examples when you're ready to see. But also when we've worked with digital wallets like PayPal to help streamline their flow, we've cut it down for PayPal as a technology provider from maybe 6 clicks down to 3. We also saw a 5% incremental lift when simplifying that checkout for them.
Got it. Understood. So currently, the impact on business metrics we mostly see on the conversion rate. We're working on also the AOV bucket size. Is there any other business metrics that we can look at, or this is what the brand should know, conversion rate and bucket size?
I think I still think engagement's still really important, right? They can't really see the click, but that's data that can be passed over to them, or at least the engagement on the products that they're seeing to click through to have the cart come forward. But I think the real focus, the way the industry is being pushed, is less on the traffic and more on the conversion, right? Because traffic and optimization of that doesn't always convert. But if we can get them in their peak moment where that intent is incredibly high and put that cart in front of them, we're going to close that and collapse that funnel and help that conversion. And if it comes down to companies being profitable, making money, having high margin, I think those are the things that are probably important than maybe just traffic. And the other thing to think about too is through Firmly, in the checkout experience, it's actually the way our technology works and how we mirror their cart and extend it into a third party. It's basically their cart. They're the merchant of record. They're the payment processor. All of their fraud tools, tax logic, order management stay unchanged. But also, more importantly, they still get to trigger all of the emails they would as if I went onto KylieCosmetics.com, put a piece of lipstick in my cart, and then abandon. They're still getting all those signals to send me now and trigger an abandonment email. So they still very much own that experience to convert them, and look at those different metrics along the life cycle. But it's changing for sure.
Yeah, understood. This you actually already answered a few of the questions that's already in my head. So I actually wanted to understand, like, one of the concern brands might have is losing control over their D2C experience, right? They will be like,
Yeah.
oh, how does it look like if it's embedded on a publisher side? So basically, you just shared it doesn't change anything. You run the brand's D2C side experience directly on the publisher side, but it looks, the customer journey of consumer is exactly the same.
You nailed it. We both nailed it. I think it's a big misconception. Brands don't lose control; they extend it. And if they can be able to be in front of a consumer at the moment of that inspiration, I think they're really the ones that are controlling and being and able to kind of capture on that wallet share, right? Versus a lot of steps to get them. There's a lot of steps that need to happen before us that a consumer needed to do in order to either find a product and then also be in that moment to buy it. And so brands now have that control to actually step forward, bring their aisle, bring their cart in front of those consumers, and get them excited to buy at the moment of inspiration. And again, yes, they own merchant of record, all the processing tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good.
And all of the data. I'll say that they also own the customer data, the relationships. So they're still the merchant of record at the end of the day.
Yeah, understood. Do you have a few visuals to show the audience like how consumer journey looks when a brand adopts Firmly.ai's embedded checkout?
Yeah, I'd love to show you what we're doing with CJ, who's been a very wonderful partner of ours. So we've been working very closely with being your checkout partner for embedded checkout across your different advertisers and publishers. So if you can, do you see this USA Today example?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So USA Today is an affiliate on CJ, and Road is an advertiser. And so the way this works is you can think of this as your traditional commerce article, where all of these links are hyperlinked to drive either to a landing page where they can go and buy the product. But again, this is where we start to see that 30 to 60% drop off. And instead, what we're doing is instead of redirecting them out, we're closing the loop here and bringing the experience of that exact product inside the publisher's ecosystem. And our API just fetched the back end of Road's API for this particular product. So all of the inventory, colors, everything is in real time. We don't use cache or catalogs. And then it also, and anything that's on her Road's website, we extend here. And then I can go ahead and buy this immediately in this experience. And the idea is that the PDP page, my cart's getting quite large because I like to play around in here, but the idea here is that that PDP page is a pure mirror extension. So I'm getting all the information I need as if I was on that product page itself, that I feel armed with that data to say, I really want this. I don't need to go to the site. And again, my email address and my address are all piped into Road. So when I leave this and I abandon, I'm going to get an email from Road. So they're really controlling all of the important parts of retention and remarketing to kind of close loop in case it doesn't happen here. And then I pop in my credit card and I hit buy now. And then immediately it will say, thank you from Road. And it would trigger just as if I was on Road.com, an email from Road with confirmation number. And that says nothing about USA Today. Road believes that I actually made this purchase on their site. And what's nice for the publisher is they're getting 100% of this attribution. They get to continue to keep their audience. They get some some upstream data, so they can better target their viewers, and they can continue to monetize me, right? So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, got it. So how does the commercial work? Is there a cost for brands to adopting this solution, or is borne by the publisher side?
Yeah, so the commercial model, there are two parts, but I'll talk about the Firmly network, which is the publisher, which is everything that happens within the CJ ecosystem. The nice thing, it's actually free for all of your advertisers. As it runs through the CJ existing affiliate rails, you're paying your standard CPA terms to your publishers. So Road is paying USA their standard rates, whatever that commission is. And then the publishers pay firmly separately based on the contractual deal we have with them. Sometimes it's on GMV, sometimes it's a licensing model. But ultimately, we want to make it really easy for the brands to work with us. Yeah, we're a no code, low lift solution to get their cart really anywhere where shoppers are.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so you just mentioned the technical perspective as
Yeah.
well. So is it what does it take for the brand to implement this experience?
Yeah. So it's very easy. There's no changes that need to be made on the front end, the checkout. There's no replatforming. There's no payment integrations. There's nothing new. There's only two step. There's only one step essentially. If your advertisers are on Shopify, then there's no lift at all. If they have their own custom commerce platform like Salesforce, BigCommerce, etc., then all we ask is that they IP our Firmly's IP in their CDN, which is usually like a Cloudflare or an Akamai. And this will ensure two things. One is that when orders are starting to happen in these third-party destinations, it doesn't show up as bot fraud. And we also don't get timed out since it's not recognizing us. We didn't get granted access. So the only thing that needs to happen if they're not a Shopify brand is to whitelist or allow list our IP in their CDN.
Yeah, that sounds
That's it.
easy.
Yeah. And then brands can really be live within a matter of days, and in certain channels in a matter of hours. So it's really designed to be quick, zero code, zero engineering lift. We always put the advertiser first in terms of no work to do to get live.
Okay, great. So the benefit of shortening the purchase journey is quite clear. The commercial model is quite in favor of the brand. The technical effort investment is close to none. I can only think of probably one concern from the brand is about, you also actually covered that earlier as well. It's about the traffic not landing on their own sites, right? So
Yeah.
you double click on this one and then share a little
Yeah, of
more how
course.
they should think about the trade-off.
Yeah, I think traffic versus conversion, I think this is just a key mind shift. When we look at what happened with brick and mortar and having to transform into e-commerce sites, they were terrified they were going to lose all their foot traffic, right? It's just another channel that's think about what we're doing from whether it's the Geminis of the world or publisher commerce. We're another key channel that drives conversions, that drives outcomes for them. And the goal isn't always traffic because traffic doesn't always optimize to conversion. So if revenue and customer acquisition are the most important things for these brands' bottom lines, then I think that's where the mind shift needs to happen. And talking to a lot of different brands, I think they're also believing this and knowing that they need to take some immediate action to ensure that their sites are LLM ready, that things are indexed correctly, categorized correctly, their FAQs are up to date and clean. Basically, they need to be indexed for what's happening now so that they do show up properly in discovery. Because that is maybe the new KPI is more around discovery than traffic. And we're also, our technology does provide that as a service. Part of working with us, we can really help get clients their catalog enriched for all these different environments in a unified way. So that through us, your catalog is enriched through an LLM, through a publisher site, through a shoppable ad. So and versus having to reconfigure for each one of these environments, it can get quite costly. So we're really what we really focus on is optimizing for the conversion at the point of discovery. And as a result, we're seeing high conversion rates, more than if we had to redirect them to the sites. We're seeing more efficient acquisition costs, so better ROAS. So the brands love that. Their CAC is better. And we're also able to deliver net new customers who may have never clicked through, right? I think importantly, they still own the customer data, and they can still retarget, remarket, and build that LTV exactly as they do today. So it's not really losing traffic. It's just monetizing, I think, the intent more effectively.
Within the CJ ecosystem, what types of publishers are already adopting or working with firmly, and where you are seeing the strongest traction?
Yeah. So we are working with USA Today, is a large publisher of ours, Gannett. Wizard's a new e-commerce LLM that's integrated into CJ. So we provide the cart enablement for them. We're also launching with Condé Nast around Allure and Wired, I believe, and also Ziff Davis. We're doing some cool things with retail media. I'm sorry, with Ziff Davis, we're doing some very cool things with Retail Me Not, where we're creating a more of a social commerce campaign that has, so think about like ads inside of Meta, like Facebook and Instagram, where the brands and Retail Me Not are collaborating, and where the instant checkout that's inside the actual Meta ad, so they can shop within the ad, and all of the promo codes get built into that experience. So when they're buying, a shirt or a lipstick, all of those promo codes get integrated, so that they don't have to go back to Retail Me Not and pop things back in to get their discount.
Yeah, that sounds plenty of opportunities to start collaborating.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Yeah, and every day we're onboarding new publishers. So NBC Universal is another one. So it's growing quite fast. I think the brands are seeing the excitement around this, and the outcomes, and the publishers are really leaning in because they keep their audience and continue to monetize them, and just be smarter about how they show products and talk about products with the data that they can get.
Yeah. So what today's conversation really highlights is that growth is not just about generating demands. It's actually also about removing friction from the moment of intent. And as commerce becomes more embedded into content, social, and publisher environments, the brands that win will be those that make it easier for consumers to act in the moment. So yeah, brands who is go global, China brands going global. If you are thinking about how to improve conversion and capture demand more effectively, please connect with your client development manager at CJ for more details how to work with Formly.ai. And if before I let you go, we ask this question, every publisher in this series the same question. So I'm going to ask you as well. What is one belief about growth or performance marketing that brands still hold on to today, but will no longer be true in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, that's a good question. I think that they're still holding on to that the traffic, needs to go to their site, and maybe even a little bit more on a broader, more profound way, is that they've always been the ambassador of their own brand. And I think they're going to see the LLMs and other environments start to be their ambassador, and they're going to have to be comfortable with losing a bit of that control.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. That leaves some food for thought for the brands to think about. And thank you again, Eve, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Okay. See you later. Thank you.